cost optimized architecture. So let's start. Question number 31. A company has a steady state production workloads during 24 hours for the next 3 years and want to minimize EC2 compute cost. Which purchasing option is most cost efficient? So answers are on-demand instance, spot instance, reserve instance or saving plans, dedicated host at on-demand rates. So the answer will be reserve instance, because here we are asking for the next year 3 years time period and we are having a one particular time period, so we can go with the reserve instance, because reserve instance is for the predictable or long running workloads, and it's having offer a significant discounts over on demand pricing in exchange for the terms commitments. Question number 32. A company stores infrequently accessed log file in S3 that must still be retrievable within a minute if needed, but wants to minimize a storage cost. Which storage class best fit? S3 standard, S3 infrequent access, S3 glacier deep archive, S3 intelligent tiering with a frequent access tier only. We can go with the S3 frequent access because it offers a lower storage cost, and the question is asking for the minimum storage cost. So we can go with the S3 infrequent access, and it's also uh, S3 standard for the frequently access data while they still providing a milliseconds retrieval intervals. So we can go with the S3 standard IM. Question number 33. A company wants an automated way to move S3 object to a cheaper storage class as they age without manual monitoring access patterns. What should it configure? S3 cross region replication, S3 life cycle policy, S3 object lock, S3 transfer acceleration. So the answer is B, because this question is asking to move S3 bucket to cheaper storage class as they age. So whenever the age type of content we are having without manual monitoring access pattern, we can go with the lifecycle S3 because it automatically transition objects to the cheaper storage class based on the age without manual intervention. Question number 34. A company runs a data warehouse workload only a few hours per day for reporting and wants to avoid paying for ideal structure the rest of the time. What is the most effective approach? RDS multi availability zone continuously. Pause and resume Amazon Redshift and use a Redshift serverless so compute is built only when queries run. Use a reserve instance for a full month and purchase a dedicated host. So we can eliminate the answer. We are asking for the few hours per day for reporting. So the reserve instance for the full day will be not required, and the purchase dedicated host is also not required. Dedicated host so we can go with the B. Pause and resume the Amazon Redshift and use a Redshift serverless so compute is built when queries run. This will be the cost effective approach we can go with. Question number 35. A company wants visibility into which AWS resources are underutilized or oversized so it can right size and reduce cost. Which tools should it use? So they are asking for the underutilized and oversized. Okay, so AWS Trusted Advisor, the cost optimization check, guard duty, AWS Shield, AWS Mac. So we can go with the AWS Trusted Advisor because it's having cost optimization check that identify the ideal and underutilized resources such as a low utilization EC2 instances. So we can go with the option A. Question number 36. A company wants to reduce a NAT gateway data processing charges for a high traffic application processing S3 from a private subnet. What is the most cost effective solution? To add a more NAT gateways in the same availability zone, use a gateway VPC endpoint for S3 to bypass the NAT gateway entirely, route S3 traffic through a NAT gate instance instead, increase the NAT gateway bandwidth. So we can go with the Amazon VPC endpoint for S3 to bypass the NAT gateway entirely, because here we are asking NAT gateway data process charges for the high traffic application across the S3 from a private subnet. Okay, so a like a gateway VPC endpoint for the S3 routes traffic directly and privately without transferring the NAT gateway, eliminate the data processing charges for that traffic, so that we can go with the option B. A company wants a single consolidated bill and volume pricing discount across many AWS accounts belonging to the different department. What should it use? Separate a standalone alone AWS account with individual billing, AWS organization with consolidated billing, IAM users shared across a department, a single AWS account with many IAM roles. So we can go with the consolidated bill. They are asking, we can go with the AWS organization with the consolidated bills. That will be the answer. B will be the answer. Question number 38. A company runs short-lived batch several times a day and wants to pay only for the compute time actually need without provisioning or managing server. Which service is most cost effective? EC2 reserve instance sized for peak, AWS Lambda, a permanently running EC2 fleet, or dedicated host? We can go with the Amazon Lambda, because if we having a dedicated host we will cost very high. This is not cost effective solution. A permanent running EC2 instance is also a very cost expensive, like it is also not cost effective. EC2 reserve instance for the seek for the peak price, this is also going to be not a cost effective for this. So we can go with the AWS Lambda because it lets you set the custom cost and use the threshold and sets up proactive alerts when actual or forecasted spend across or succeed them. So we can go with the AWS Lambda. Okay, let's come to the question number 39. A company wants to archive a 500 TB compliance data that will almost never be accessed but must be retained after the 10 years at the minimal cost. Which storage option is the most cost effective? Amazon S3 standard, S3 standard IA, S3 Glacier Deep Archive, Amazon EBS snapshot. So whenever we having archiving a 500 TB data, we can go with the directly S3, because S3 is having is offer the lowest storage cost in S3 and designing for the data retained for the years and access rarely at the cost for the longer retrieval time. So we can go with the option C, S3 case whenever we are asking for the archiving the data for the long period of time. Okay, with a minimal cost. Question number 40. A company wants to know in advance if its monthly AWS spend is on track to exceed a budget and receive a automatic alerts. Which service should it use? AWS Budget, AWS Cost Explorer Only, Amazon CloudWatch Billing Alarms, and AWS Trusted Advisor. So we can go with the AWS Budget, because AWS Budget let you design your own custom cost and uses thresholds and sends a proactive alerts when the actual and forecasted spends approaches for exceeds them. And in the question they are asking about the track the exceed budget and receive automatic alerts. So AWS budget will be